One size does not fit all, according to the new book by Dan Oliverio, The Round World. Dan, you talk about some things in this book that most people will never have in an everyday conversation. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, The Round World is about what it's like to have an attraction to obese partners and what it's like to be someone who's obese who you're now attractive for something that you may not find attractive about yourself. And I call it the round world because the round world is the place where these interactions happen. There's an enormous quantity of men and women who would seek out an obese partner. And of course, there's plenty of obese partners to be had, but not all of them necessarily want to be valued for that. And so I talk about what that's like. And I talk about the difference between being objectified and being adored, or being sought for a quality that you don't necessarily like about yourself. And these are tricky things to negotiate.
So what kind of reactions are you getting? Because this is a very interesting topic that people, as I said, really don't hear much about.
Yeah, because there's a lot of shame and guilt on both sides. We often talk about obese people, fat people. They feel bad about themselves, or they feel guilty for being the size they are, and not all the time. That's certainly not true of all fat people. But there's that thing that goes around. What people don't realize is that for chubby chasers like myself, we often go through a similar problem with self-esteem and guilt, and it comes from the same source, the idea that being fat is not being good enough. And I'm here to say that's not necessarily the case. So the reactions I get are varied. We have some people are like, yes, finally. And, I had one guy come up to me after a seminar and he said, I think you just changed my life. And, less than a year later, he was engaged to be married, where he thought previously there was no opportunity for a relationship, because he was a middle-aged fat man who sort of resigned himself to being single. The Round World is the first book that really looks at our relationships not from someone who's obese, but from someone who finds obesity attractive. And we tend to find it attractive in two different ways. Chubby chasers, as I speak about in the book, we really see obesity as either beautiful or powerful. And some of us are really, if you think about muscle, which is often attractive to people, like not necessarily even bodybuilders, but just someone who's muscular. Some people love the power of that, and some people like the beauty of that. Well, it's often the same with fat, that people gravitate to the beauty of fat, of rolls, of the walk of a fat person. And some people are into the power of that and the weight and the gravity that it gives the person. And it's just a different way of looking at the world. It's a different way of looking at how we identify ourselves and other people.